quiet, forgotten attic at the top of an old house sat a mirror unlike any other. Its frame was heavy, with ornate carvings of ivy and roses, their delicate leaves frozen mid-sway in the golden metal. Time dimmed its once lustrous surface, now veiled with a layer of dust, but something about it still shimmered faintly beneath the grime. The air in the attic was thick, heavy with the scent of aged wood and forgotten memories. This mirror had a story that many had whispered, but few believed. They called it the artist's mirror, and those who dared to speak its name would tell you to leave it alone, to let it remain in the shadows where it belonged. The tale of the mirror began centuries ago in a small, mist-shrouded town nestled deep in the hills. There lived a painter, a reclusive artist, known only as the artisan. No one knew their true name, and few had seen their face. Their paintings were famous far beyond the borders of the town. It was said that their work had a life of its own, capturing not just the likeness of their subjects, but the very essence of their soul. The artisan was an enigma. They worked tirelessly, creating masterpiece after masterpiece. They lived alone, rarely venturing outside their dimly lit studio. Those who delivered supplies to their home spoke of strange lights flickering in the windows late at night, and the faint hum of voices, though no one ever saw a visitor. One day, the artisan unveiled their greatest creation, a mirror unlike any other. They claimed it was a work of art so perfect, so powerful, that it could show the truth of one's soul. The townsfolk, curious and wary, flocked to see it, but as they gazed into the mirror, they felt an unease creeping over them. Their reflections lingered a moment too long, their eyes holding secrets they couldn't understand. Soon after, the artisan disappeared. Some said they had gone mad. Others whispered that the mirror had taken them. The studio was left abandoned, and the mirror was eventually sold to a wealthy family who moved it to their attic, where it would stay, gathering dust and secrets. Decades passed, and the mirror faded from memory. The house changed hands many times, and its new occupants rarely ventured into the attic. But the mirror remained, waiting. Years later, a young woman named Clara moved into the house with her family. Clara was a curious soul, drawn to the mysterious and unknown. One rainy afternoon, with the soft patter of rain on the roof and the occasional distant rumble of thunder, she decided to explore the attic. The air was cold as she climbed the creaking stairs. Light filtered through a small, grimy window, casting long shadows across the cluttered space. Clara's eyes fell on the mirror, partially hidden beneath a tattered cloth. Something about it called to her, a soft whisper in the back of her mind. She pulled the cloth away, revealing the glass beneath. Her reflection stared back at her, a young woman with bright eyes and a hint of curiosity in her expression. For a moment, everything seemed normal, but as she leaned closer, something changed. Her reflection blinked, but Clara hadn't. She froze, her breath catching in her throat. Her reflection smiled, a small, knowing smile that stretched wider and wider until it became unnatural, almost grotesque. Clara stumbled back, her heart racing, but when she looked again, the reflection was normal. Her own face staring back at her with wide, frightened eyes. The days that followed were strange. Clara couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, even when she was alone. At night, she dreamed of the mirror. In her dreams, her reflection stepped out of the glass and walked beside her, its movements eerily fluid, its expression calm and unchanging. She began to hear whispers in the attic, soft, indistinct murmurs that seemed to come from nowhere. Her family noticed the change in her, the dark circles under her eyes, the way she avoided mirrors altogether. One night, unable to resist the pull of the mirror any longer, Clara returned to the attic. The house was silent. The only sound the faint creak of the floorboards beneath her feet. The attic door opened on its own, the hinges groaning in protest. The mirror stood uncovered, its surface gleaming faintly in the dim light. Clara approached it slowly, her hands trembling. "Who are you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. The reflection tilted its head, its eyes glinting with something unreadable. "I am you," it replied softly, its voice echoing in her mind. "I have always been here, waiting." Clara's breath hitched as the reflection's hand reached out, pressing against the glass. Her own hand moved involuntarily, mirroring the motion. The glass felt warm under her fingertips, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat. The next morning, Clara was gone. Her family searched the house, the attic, the town, but there was no trace of her. The mirror was found covered in its black cloth once more, its surface cold and silent. The house was eventually sold again, and the mirror remained, waiting for its next visitor. They say that if you find the mirror, you should never uncover it. But if you do, don't stare too long. And whatever you do, don't let it smile.